Hey, it's Zane, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I want to explain why 0.1, 10% of a Bitcoin will be enough. It will be enough. And this has big implications for your retirement, a financial future where you won't have to worry about money into the future. If you have a time horizon of 12 to 15 years and beyond, you really need to be getting to 0.1 as quickly as you can, in my opinion. Now, this is not financial advice. This is just based on historical data of Bitcoin's performance and a realization as to where we are on this adoption curve, and a realization that Bitcoin is an idea, a protocol whose time has come, and it's here for a reason, and it's repricing every other asset on earth as we speak. The problem is most people still aren't paying attention to it. And yes, they may hear on the news that Bitcoin has reached another all-time high, and people might be kind of thinking to themselves, well, gee, that's an asset that I've missed. Maybe I should have paid attention to it a year ago, 5 years ago, whatever it might be. But choosing not to get involved in Bitcoin now because it's reached an all-time high is really a failure of your ego, because it's you just validating the reasons or finding a reason not to get involved. And it's really easy to just sit on the sidelines and not get involved, particularly if you think you've missed it, and you come up with all these justifications as to why you shouldn't be paying attention to it. The problem is that if you care about your financial future, you have to understand that we have a legacy financial system that is clearly at the end of its lifespan. So much debt, so much inflation, so much of a growing wealth gap, such a great divide in society, the middle class really starting to struggle and to fall to the bottom. A housing crisis, cost of living crisis, you name it. We've sold out an entire generation. All these kids coming through now, they've got no chance of living the great Australian dream. They can't save their way to prosperity, and they may have done everything that their parents have asked them to do. Go to school, get good grades, 12 years of study, go to higher education, think about what kind of career path you want to take on some student loan debt. And, so if you're in your 20s now and you're sitting there and you've got all this opportunity, you think, ahead of you, and this debt hanging around your neck, and you're thinking to yourself, well, what career will I get involved in? It's a problem. It's a problem when the thing that you're going to exchange that career for is a currency that is being destroyed. And particularly when we have AI coming down the pike at a great rate of knots as well, which is going to disrupt so many industries and professions. And so this is where we are now. And so everybody, whether you're young, just getting started in life and career, and hopefully, planning to have a family and all of these things. So whether you're in that group, or whether you're on the cusp of retirement or planning for retirement in, say, 10, 15 years or beyond, Bitcoin is an asset you can no longer ignore, because it is continuing to defy the odds. It is continuing to reprice currency, the stock market, real estate. It is continually basically giving a middle finger to the legacy financial planning industry, because it's saying, you guys over there, you're doing a disservice to your clients globally, because you're generating 7 to 8% return per annum, be it share portfolios, managed funds, be it superannuation, 401ks. This is what they're generating. And yet Bitcoin, over the past 10 years has done around 50% CAGR, compound annual growth rate. So, about 8 times what the legacy financial system is generating. And if you go back, 15 years, it's up more around like 80%. And so we have to understand that, Bitcoin is designed to do this. It is mathematically engineered to go up and to the right forever, because it's the first asset in history that is absolutely scarce. It has a fixed and finite issuance of 21 million. And so I think we're going to enter a phase very, very soon, and I'm going to get to this 0.1 in a moment and why it's going to matter to your financial future. But I believe we're going to enter a phase very, very soon where we're not going to be talking about Bitcoin per se. What we're going to be talking about is fractions of Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about satoshis, sats. And we're heading there really, really fast because people look at Bitcoin, they have this, I guess, this unit bias thing that comes up in their mind where they look at a whole Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, which is 1/21 millionth of the blocks of land in cyberspace that you have the opportunity to own. And they look at the price of that pristine digital property, 1/21 millionth, one Bitcoin, and they see it sitting at around about 120,000 US dollars today, which is about 180,000 Australian. And that alone is enough for most people to be scared away. That's enough for most people to justify paying no attention to Bitcoin. The problem is that in another couple of years, it's probably going to be sitting at 300,000 US a coin. And then in 5 years, it's probably going to be sitting at $1 million US a coin. And in 10 years, it's probably going to be sitting at 10 million US a coin. And so everybody who's sitting on the sidelines now saying to themselves, I've missed the boat, it's an all-time high, I should have taken action, oh well, I'll just get on with my fiat life. They don't realize that they're still early. Because if you zoom out and you start applying the 5+ year time horizon to your strategy when it comes to Bitcoin and understanding that nobody who's been in Bitcoin for any more than 5 years has ever gone backwards, has ever lost money, then it's really clear what to do. You just need to stack as much as you can with a long time horizon, anything you don't need, long-term savings, retirement capital, rotating assets that are giving you the shits, underperforming, typically real estate. So many people I talk to every single week who are getting rid of rental properties because they're sick of all of the constraints, the land taxes, the rates, the maintenance, the management fees, the headaches with tenants, and they're done with it. And they can see that, holding on to real estate, the opportunity cost of that is that they could be holding a much better form of real estate without all those headaches, which of course is what Bitcoin is. And so people who are paying attention to this now and waking up to this, they're going, I'm out, get me into Bitcoin as quickly as I possibly can. And so this is where we are now. Now 0.1 of a Bitcoin is 10 million satoshis. There's 100 million satoshis per Bitcoin. And 0.1 is 10 million satoshis. The future is clear. We're going to get to a point, now, be it in our lifetime or our kids' lifetime, it doesn't really matter. The future is clear. We're going to get to a point where one satoshi is going to be equal to $1. And along the way, before we get to that point, we're going to get to an interim point where one satoshi equals 1 cent. Now, when we have satoshi cent parity, Bitcoin's price is going to be sitting at $1 million. And I believe that that is coming within the next 3 to 5 years. So when Bitcoin's price essentially 10x's from here, 1 satoshi is going to equal 1 cent. We're then going to wake up one day and 1 satoshi is going to be equal to 2 cents. And nobody's going to blink an eye because we're going to see on the the pricing chart on a screen that 1 satoshi has just gone from 1 cent to 2 cents. Nobody's really going to think twice about it, but in the background, Bitcoin's price has gone from $1 million to $2 million. And this is why people like Samson Mow often talks about these omega candles where Bitcoin's price is going to jump from $1 million to $2 million in a matter of days or weeks, because this is what's going to happen. the price of everything is going to shift from Bitcoin to satoshis. And satoshis are what's going to be the transactional component of Bitcoin, where you and I will be able to go down to a coffee shop or to a mechanic, and they're going to utilize a tool, an application, either with Square or with an application like Flash or Zaprite, and they're going to say to you as their customer, would you like to pay in sats or dollars today? And so you'll have the option to open up your Lightning wallet and to pay on the spot with instant settlement with satoshis rather than with dollars. And then you're going to say to yourself, well, hang on a minute, given that fiat currencies are collapsing, why on earth do I want to go and exchange my time and energy for a currency that is going to zero? And so then you're going to say to yourself, well, what I would prefer to do is offer my services, my goods and my services and my labor in exchange for satoshis. So instead of you wanting to earn dollars, you're going to want to earn satoshis. And this is how we transition into this circular economy, where people are going to realize that, particularly in a world where AI is going to drive the cost of human capital to zero, and like I said, millions of professions and jobs are going to be displaced through AI and robotics, people are going to come to Bitcoin either by choice or by force. They're either going to say, well, I no longer want to work in an environment where the cost of human capital is going to zero and corporations and institutions are choosing AI to do my job. You're going to say to yourself, well, hang on, if I'm going to work, then I want to make sure at least that I'm working for a currency that is not being debased. And this is why this great intersection is coming between AI and between Bitcoin, where infinite efficiency is going to be met with absolute scarcity. And so how does all this relate to 0.1? I'm simply saying that 10 million sats is going to end up being worth $10 million. Now, it might not be in your lifetime, but I certainly believe it will be in your kid's lifetime. And so if your only job now, if you're not at already 0.1, is to get to 0.1 as quickly as you can, because at Bitcoin's compound annual growth rate over the past 7 years of 50, or 10 years of 50%, if you put that into a reverse Kager calculator, that 10 million satoshis in 15 years is going to be worth about 4.4 million US dollars, and which is about 7 million Australian dollars at today's exchange rate. And so, if you've got money in retirement savings and you've got 15 years to retirement, the lowest hanging fruit opportunity that I can think of is to roll over your underperforming industry super fund, which is doing 7 to 7.5%. And if you doubt that, I'd encourage you to have a look at its performance over the past 5-10 years. But we know that ASFA, the Australian Superannuation Fund Association, they put out these figures every single year, and the latest figures suggest that 7.1 to 7.5% is the average return of superannuation funds in Australia. It's not enough. It's not keeping up with inflation. And so if you keep your retirement savings in that environment, unfortunately, you're going to wake up one day and realize that you made a grave error when it comes to financing your future. And so people now realizing this on their own terms, and they're going, well, hang on, I want to take charge of my superannuation. I don't want to leave it in the hands of the financial planning industry anymore. That's doing me a disservice. They can't allocate to Bitcoin. And so they're saying, well, hang on, let me roll that over, put it into a self-managed super fund. I've got 15 years to retirement anyway, so I can't touch it anyway. Why not put it into the best performing asset on earth, which is what Bitcoin is? And not only that, set it up compliantly, follow all the rules, but then take it into self-custody. So you are the custodian of that asset. No middle party, no counterparty. And this is really, in my mind, this is kind of like the North Star opportunity that exists for so many people right now who are paying attention. And I talk to people every single week who are saying, Zane, I'm going to set up my super fund. Is there somebody you can recommend who's a specialist in this area, who's qualified, sets everything up fully compliantly, the right statement of advice, the right trust structure for me? They'll organise the rollover from my industry super fund. They'll set me up with a CMA, a cash management account, and then go to a Bitcoin brokerage, a full service brokerage, open up your account in the name of your super fund. Once the capital comes in, the savings come in from your industry fund into your new CMA, you're able to then transfer it over into the SMSF in the Bitcoin brokerage and buy Bitcoin, and then take it into self-custody. So yes, there's a few steps, but what I'm saying is that even if you could acquire 0.1, if not yourself, inside your superannuation fund, and you may still have a managed fund, access to the share market, maybe some blue chip shares, whatever it might be, there's nothing to say you can't diversify inside your SMSF. In fact, most people, professionals would recommend that, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is that if that's the shortest path for you to get a meaningful allocation to Bitcoin, it's something you should really be considering, in my opinion. And so this is what's happening now. And so, imagine if you got to that $4 or $5 million in 15 years, and just say, at that point, you're aged early to mid 60s, you could then theoretically take $1 million off the top, go and enjoy the next 5 years of your life, and leave, say, $4 million exposed to the ongoing compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin, even if it was to drop from 50% to 30% over the ensuing 10 years, the next 10 years, while you're out traveling the world enjoying yourself, that $4 million would become about $55 million, even if it dropped to about 30%, which is what Michael Saylor's prediction is over the next 20 or so years, that Bitcoin's CAGR is going to level out at around about 30%. And so for the next 15, let's say, with all these tailwinds, with all this adoption coming, let's say it continues to do that 50 to 55%, you end up with $5 million from 0.1. Then you could take $1 million off the top, pay some capital gain tax if you need to do it inside whatever jurisdiction you're in, if that's the rule, but then leave the rest there. And then you can make some choices later on, whether you're going to borrow against your Bitcoin, post some of it as collateral. You know that your kids are going to be absolutely secure financially, or your loved ones, whoever your next in line might be that would inherit your wealth. And essentially you can just enjoy the rest of your life. And this is why 0.1 is going to be such a significant thing. And 10 million satoshis, it's going to become $10 million, $100 million. It's just going to keep growing, because fiat currencies are essentially going to continue to be inflated and debased, and we're going to move into a circular economy where people are going to demand to be paid in Bitcoin. So anyway, that's my thoughts today. 0.1, I believe it's a great starting point for most people, and I really encourage you to think seriously about where you're at right now and whether or not that is for you. But do the work on Bitcoin, read a book, listen to some long form podcasts, listen to Jeff Booth, listen to Tony Yazbek, listen to Michael Saylor. And honestly, if none of that resonates with you, then Bitcoin's not for you. But if it does, then the next step would be to take action. If you need to book a call with me, you'll see a link in the show notes. I do one-on-one calls every single week on Zoom. We'll spend about an hour together. You can ask me any questions. I can help you get started in the most effective way, or I can help you level up wherever you are on your journey. So that's what I'd suggest. See the link in the show notes if you'd like to book a call. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is Zane signing out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.